Okay, hello everybody. The November 17th, 2025 meeting of the Bay City Commission will come to order. The city clerk will give the invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be followed a moment of silence for former officer Don Sargent, who served with our police department 25 years, also for all our veterans who served our country. Please rise. Thank you. Please be seated. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Cubit.
Here.
Coakley.
Here.
Tenney.
Here.
Zanatti.
Here.
DeWitt.
Here.
Rumberg.
Here.
Charleroi.
Here.
Morris.
Here.
Mr. Mayor.
Present, and we have a quorum this evening. First order of business, we have presentations. We have two presentations regarding FLOC. The first one is a representative from the ACLU, Gabriel Dresner, who is, I guess, coming to us via online through Zoom. Hello, Gabriel. So can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Can you hear
it
me?
sounds like that you can hear us, but you just can't see us. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you able to hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me this evening. As mentioned, I am a policy strategist with the American Civil Liberties Union. I am very happy to be here this evening talking to you about license plate readers, as I understand that Bay City is looking to procure some license plate readers. So I would just like to present some information on concerns that the American Civil Liberties Union has with this technology. As a bit of a ground laying moment, we want to make sure that everybody understands what license plate readers are and what they can do. They are a little noticed surveillance technology that's designed to track the movements of passing drivers. They are small cameras mounted on police cars, road signs, bridges, and similar. And they use high-speed cameras to capture every passing car. These are rapidly appearing on America's streets. Many police departments across the state have procured them. However, there is no law governing their use across the state, and they are being used nationwide without any sort of standard governance. This leaves each department to sort of create their own policy or rely on the internal policy of the vendor themselves. And this is a concern because the information captured by these readers, including the license plate number, the date, the time, the location of every scan, is being collected en masse and being pooled into regional and national sharing systems. As a result, this enormous database of innocent motorist locations is being stored for months or longer with few restrictions on privacy rights. Though they claim to only collect license plate alphanumerical data, the information can be very revealing. While a point-in-time snapshot might not seem concerning, as blankets of these readers cover our streets and the government stores this data for longer and longer periods of time, the technology quickly morphs into a powerful tracking tool that can reveal sensitive information about who we are and what we do, including what friends, doctors, political events, or churches a person may visit. LPR information can serve as a legitimate law enforcement tool when they are properly used and when the proper guardrails are put into place. These things such as missing persons investigations or investigations where a specific license plate has been flagged, like I said, can serve legitimate law enforcement purposes. These account for a small fraction of the scans, however, and many police departments across the country are storing millions of records about innocent drivers. So what can we do about this? If your municipality must adopt must procure license plate readers, protections need to be enacted. The ACLU has developed a model policy to guide the use of LPRs and information storage in a way that protects the privacy of Michigan roadway users while preserving the use of the technology for unobjectionable and beneficial law enforcement purposes. In our society, it's a core principle that the government does not invade people's privacy and collect information about innocent activities just in case that person commits a crime. If LPR systems are procured, policy must be adopted to ensure proper protections, and I would be happy to share this policy with you in the event that it's needed. I'm also happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right, thank you. We have a commissioner. Will she be able to, she'll be able to hear it just from the commissioner. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Kubik.
I appreciate the offer to share your model policy. I think that would be great. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to review the Bay City Public Safety Law Enforcement policy on this, have you?
I've reviewed the contract proposed with Flock. I don't know that I've seen the specific policy that you're speaking of, but I would be happy to look at it.
Okay, I would appreciate your insight. I mean, unfortunately, we're sort of trying to come to a decision tonight on this, but Bay City Law Enforcement on their public safety page did publish their policy on the issue, and I would just be curious to know what the ACL model policy is, and if that policy that's already been promulgated by our public safety is in alignment with your suggested recommendations.
Yeah, I would be happy to check that out and get back to you as soon as possible. I understand a vote is likely happening tonight. And I think regardless of whether or not the technology is procured or not procured based on the vote tonight, the policy can go into place regardless.
All right, thank you, also, Commissioner. Any other questions by commissioners? Oh, yep, Commissioner Tenney.
Thank you to the chair, and thank you to the presenter from the ACLU. My question to you is, I've seen a number of cases where municipalities have had this corporation specifically thumb their nose at whatever kind of guardrails they put up. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I'm not exactly sure what they have said. I wasn't in those conversations, but I think our goal is to mitigate the unintended harms of this technology. Like I said, it exists. It's widespread across both our state and the nation. And without proper guards in place, this can easily slip into a practice of mass surveillance or even abuse. So we have this policy to ensure that that doesn't happen. I think it's a fairly middle of the road policy. We are not attempting to entirely outlaw the use of these because they are already in use. So at this point, we are mitigating the harms of this technology and ensuring that people can move about freely without fear of their movements being tracked when they have done nothing wrong.
Okay, thank you. And then if they don't follow that policy, then what?
That's a great question. I am not a lawyer, so I can't speak to how a lawsuit would play out, but I imagine that there would be one filed if such privacies were invaded and policies were not followed. I'm not sure how that works on the municipal level, but I imagine that you have seen policies not followed before, and it would likely, have some similar effect.
Got it. I'm all set. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Any other commissioners? Just to clarify, so your kind of statement from ACLU is not necessarily lobbying against these, but to have proper policy in place in order to prevent some potential harm to general citizenry. Is that the correct position?
I think it's a bit twofold. I think the best way to prevent privacy violations is to not implement these technologies. However, if your city does go forward with the technology, then putting these policies in place helps ensure that, to the extent possible, people's privacy is protected.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
Thank you.
Commissioner Runberg had one.
Yes, thank you for zooming into us today. My question has to do with, you did have a chance to review the contract, and there's some speculation as to whether or not, based on your understanding of the contract, outside agencies would be able to have access to this data Were you able to infer any opinion on that based on what you read in the contract?
Just a moment. Let me pull up the contract again. Yes, so there was a section in the contract regarding disclosure of footage. So the contract specifically states that subject to and during the retention period, Flock may access, use, preserve, and/or disclose the footage to law enforcement authorities, government officials, and/or third parties if legally required to do so, or if Flock has a good faith belief that such access, use, preservation, or disclosure is reasonably necessary to comply with the legal process, enforce this agreement, or detect, prevent, or otherwise address security, privacy, fraud, technical issues, or emergency situations. So there is a clause in the contract that would lead me, again, not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, that would lead me to believe that it could legally be shared in the event that they were attempting to prevent some crime from happening, which is always a bit concerning because when we're looking at trying to prevent a crime, that is predictive policing, which is not necessarily the best model.
Yeah, that's the part that really concerns me is the good faith belief because it's a pretty squishy sentence. I guess that's all I have for you now at this time. Thank you again for attending.
Thank
Right,
you. I
Commissioner,
appreciate the
any
time.
other commissioner? Well, again, thank you, Mr. Eisner, for your presentation. Now we have Mike Lampman and Trevor Chandler from Flock Group here to present.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I really appreciate the opportunity to present to you in person here today, walk you through some of the issues that has been raised. We really appreciate this conversation around public safety because public safety and privacy is important, complex, and nuanced. And I want to make clear that this presentation is not meant to convince you one side is good and one side is bad, or one side is right or one side is wrong. It's meant to acknowledge and address the concerns that have been raised. It's meant to correct certain misinformation. And it's also meant to demonstrate that Flock's customizable solutions can ensure that Bay City's community safety never has to come at the expense of Bay City's values. So first, a little bit about Flock. We are an American company, and we are trusted by over 6,000 communities across the United States, including over 160 Michigan law enforcement agencies. Based on what we know, almost 3,000 crimes a day are solved by Flock across the country. And what that extrapolates out to is an estimated 15% of all crime in the US today is being solved with a Flock camera. Based on press accounts alone, solely on mentions in the press, Flock is responsible for having found over 1,000 missing persons. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that runs our nation's Amber Alert program has specifically credited Flock with helping find over 100 missing children, likely many more. So, as we understand, again, we understand the intensity and the passion around this conversation. But while some may see division, I actually believe that we agree on more than we disagree. Everyone in this room today, every single person in this room today, believes that the Bay City community deserves to feel safe. And I also believe that most of us actually agree on how we can ensure this safety while also ensuring privacy. And I know this because Flock and the ACLU have already done it. In Virginia, we have found both Flock and the ACLU came together to pass a first-of-its-kind law establishing data retention limits and sharing limits. Both us and the National ACLU lobbied in support of this bill because we both believe in guardrails and data sharing regulations and agreements. This is not new. This is not a binary yes-no. This is a yes-and. But at the same time, there are people who are ideologically opposed to any kind of public safety technology, no matter the real, tangible, positive impact it has. And you've no doubt heard from them over the course of this process. Now, they claim this is a binary choice rather than a multifaceted one, and no amount of missing children found or sexual predators arrested or statistics on crime reduction are going to change their mind. And that is their right. Absolutely their right. However, we encourage you to be skeptical of those offering black and white and instead engage in a nuanced and complex discussion to find a customized solution that fits for Bay City. And that's what Flock offers. Now, unfortunately, some have provided misinformation to make their case, resulting in some misconceptions of what Flock is, and I'd like to address some of those. So the first myth is that LPR can track people and show police everywhere they go, and this is not factually correct. LPRs take a point-in-time image of the rear of vehicles on public roadways. They do not continuously track vehicles. Any images that are not used for an investigation are deleted. And I have read the policy that has been provided by the police department, and they have a 30-day retention period as well as sharing requirements, and so they fit into this rule. So any images are deleted after 30 days. And courts have consistently found that taking images of public documents, which are owned by the government, on public roadways, in public spaces, is not a violation of privacy. And that leads into the second myth that LPRs violate the Fourth Amendment. In fact, the Sixth Circuit, which covers Michigan, has found, as well as many other appellate and federal district courts in at least 14 states, including 9th and 11th, some of the most liberal districts, have upheld using license plate readers as constitutional without requiring a warrant. Additionally, you'll likely have heard about a certain case in Virginia. The Norfolk case is ongoing, but I think it's important to note that the Norfolk case was based on Bell, and as of October 25th, Bell is no longer good law as it was overturned in the Commonwealth v. Church decision. I'm happy to go into in-depth case law on that. Yes, Norfolk is still ongoing, but it's not rare for law enforcement technology that is used as evidence in court cases to be challenged in court because people want the best defense possible. What is rare is the nearly unanimous upholding that LPRs are constitutional as evidence under the Fourth Amendment. Next, the myth that Flock sells customer data, compiling all of it into a national database. Again, this is not true. Flock does not sell data. Period. We are not a social media company. That is not our model. We charge a fee for service. We do not sell data. And as you'll hear multiple times, Bay City owns its data. Every single agency, every single community that purchases Flock owns their own data, and they get to choose if they want to share. Some do choose to share in national lookup. It's my understanding that is not what Bay City PD wants to do, or that this community wants to do, which is absolutely fine. If Bay City wanted to only share with one or two surrounding communities, they could do that. If they wanted to share statewide, they could do that. But this is not a big bucket of images that everyone has access to afterwards. And again, Flock does not sell data. Another myth is that Flock's private customers can access law enforcement data. So Flock has customers that are retailers that use our technology for organized retail theft, things of that nature. They can choose to share their cameras with law enforcement. However, it is a one-way street. They do not have access to any law enforcement data or any law enforcement hot list. Another myth about LPR cameras negatively impacting communities of color. In fact, groups such as the Oakland, California NAACP have specifically endorsed Flock because it reduces bias in policing. In their own words, these cameras are designed to detect only vehicles associated with a crime, removing the subjective judgment that too often leads to disproportionate stops and harmful interactions with Black and brown residents. And we hear this across the country. With these cameras, we are replacing the subjective judgment of an officer of who is suspicious and who isn't suspicious, what car is suspicious, what car is not suspicious, with objective, actionable evidence that can be used in the effort to remove bias from policing. Another myth is that LPRs don't have an impact on crime. And just recently, San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria attributed a 20% decline in auto theft to Flock. San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie credited Flock with not only a 41% decrease in auto theft, but increasing the arrests by 46%. So not only are auto thefts going down, but for the ones that remain, the arrests for them are going up. And there was recently a side-by-side comparison with Nashville, Tennessee, and Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Nashville has no license plate reader cameras, Mount Juliet does. And, sorry, I lost my spot there. Mount Juliet's crime, Nashville crime dropped 15% in the last year. Auto theft also dropped by about 10%. In Mount Juliet, which uses license plate readers, there was a 56% drop in burglary, and auto theft dropped 27%. A side-by-side comparison of a community that has license plate readers right next door to a community that doesn't. Now, getting into privacy, because I know privacy and data protection is incredibly important. Again, you all, Bay City, owns 100% of the data. Flock stores it, we do not own it. Private customers do not have access to government data or to Bay City's data. All of the data will be deleted after 30 days. Flock has no access to personally identifiable information, Flock LPR system. This is very important because, again, license plates are government-owned documents meant for public display on public roadways. This is not personally identifiable information. The Flock license plate reader system has no addresses in it, no social security numbers, nothing of a personally identifiable information nature. And so, even though it contains no personally identifiable information, we still protect it as if it does. It's certified under the FBI Criminal Justice Information Standards. Flock is fully NDAA compliant. SOC 2 Type 2, SOC 3 auditing, the ISO 27001. This is a pass-fail test on some of the most stringent standards for holding data, as well as FERPA and the Higher Education Community Vendor Assessment Tool, in addition to being aligned with the NIST Cybersecurity and Cloud Security Alliance framework. And again, accountability and transparency isn't a bug of the system, it is a function of the system. We provide free of charge a transparency portal for all of our customers. Each of these can be customized based on what you want. Some communities even decide to show where their cameras are going to be located. Here you can show, in this example, it shows which other communities have access to the cameras, the numbers, data retention, hot lists. We're going to be revamping this as well to make it even more comprehensive. You can put your audits on this page. This is something where I would actually challenge anyone to come up and think of a piece of law enforcement technology that has more transparency and accountability features for the public than Flock's license plate readers. I would challenge them. I have not heard a better answer of a public safety technology that has auditing, a public-facing transparency portal, and a permanent audit trail. And so in addition, while the images are deleted after 30 days, the audit trail is permanent. From the minute you turn this on, the first search that is there, that is preserved forever for your records to be able to know what is going on in your system. Every search requires a user ID, and we've also not only mandated a search reason, but you can also mandate a case number if you want as well. We have this audit trail are permanent, and we encourage every agency to have regular audits. Some choose to do it yearly, some quarterly, some monthly. Some, like San Diego, actually do it weekly. That is 100% up to you, and we encourage you to have a robust auditing system. And now I wanted to talk about how we've doubled down on these transparency and accountability features. Lately, there's been a lot of discussion, and we've been responsive to that. There's been a lot of concerns, and we have not stood still in the face of these concerns. We've doubled down on making sure that we are listening to not only the departments and the communities that we serve, but the people that live in those communities and who those departments protect. And many of them have asked for these features, and we've gone above and beyond that. So obviously in the national environment, immigration is a top concern. There's a lot of disagreement in communities across the country about immigration enforcement. And we understand that some communities don't want their community safety to come at the expense of their community values. And so we've introduced search filters that prevent searches related to immigration as well as reproductive health. These are able to be automatically turned on by your department if you so choose. Additionally, we're coming out with proactive auditing, so you don't have to wait until you do your auditing process to potentially identify potential mistakes or bad actors that are using your system. So if there are a significant number of searches that are happening after hours, or if excessive or repeated searches, or potentially unrelated to crimes, those will now get automatically flagged for your system administrators so that they can take action before an actual full audit is released. In federal limitations, obviously the immigration concerns go to the concerns of communities that disagree what's happening at the federal level with immigration. We have fully removed access to any federal agency from not only nationwide lookup, but to statewide lookup. Only your agencies will make the decision. Only your agencies make the decision of who they share their data with, period. And we're also rolling out standardized search reasons. These follow the FBI's NBERS reasons so that this will prevent vague or unacceptable entries. Sometimes you have people, agents who have, or police officers who mistakenly do not fill out the search reason, so you have empty search reason or potentially something that goes against the standards. This will standardize that process to prevent that from happening and enable stronger enforcement of the filters. Additionally, you'll see that not only have we appointed a new chief legal officer to lead this compliance, we've tripled our policy team, expanded trust and safety. We are doing much more significant training for agencies that use us. We've added a product compliance manager role, and we have more and more of these additional compliance and transparency features that are going to be rolling out shortly. It's important to know why we do what we do. The folks at Flock are incredibly proud of the work we do. We see the clips every week, every day, sometimes every hour of the crimes that are able to be solved and the partners that rely on us. One of those partners that relies on us, I mentioned previously, was NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They specifically point to our partnership with reuniting families. Also, Mothers Against Drunk Driving is a full supporter of Flock and has advocated for us. It's important to note less than 50% of hit and runs are solved. Because when you get hit by a car, you're not necessarily looking at the license plate. But with Flock, you're able to have a better ability to hold drunk drivers accountable and hit and run drivers accountable by knowing the time, the location that those hit and runs happen. Our goal, my personal goal, is to get from under 50% to 51%. And that's one of the things that really motivates me in this work. And of course, I also mentioned our partnership with the historic Oakland chapter of the NAACP, in figuring out how this technology can not just solve crimes, but solve them the right way by removing bias. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today, the seriousness that you bring to this topic. Flock is committed to working with the council, with the commission, with the police department, and to ensure that your community safety never has to come at the expense of community values. So thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Commissioner Cubitt.
I have a few questions. Thank you for your presentation. Frankly, I think it's a shame that we didn't have access to the slides beforehand or the community, so maybe I missed it, but I didn't see it in the packet. We are voting tonight, so I think that that's a shame that the community doesn't have a chance to absorb your presentation, but I do have some questions. So first off, I guess I'm trying to maybe give an example of the hot list. I appreciate what you're saying about how the local agency gets to control. So let's try, I like examples. You were saying a hit and run, and so let's, for example, Bay City chose to only share their information with Saginaw and Tuscola, or whoever. Only those two agencies. So if Saginaw or Tuscola put out a license plate that's on the hot list, or Bay City puts out a license plate on the hot list, Bay City can see all those hot lists. I'm asking a terrible question, I apologize.
Okay.
So I guess there might be a difference between Bay City can see other people's hot lists, like if everybody else in the world is like, I don't care, you can see who's on our hot list, Bay City might see their hit and run suspect is out in Kent County. So I guess let's start with that question. So can you pick who, if you share with everybody, Bay City could see vehicles in like Kent County, even if Bay City chose not to share their data with Kent County?
You can choose to do a one-way sharing relationship. Obviously, that would rely on the other agency accepting that sharing request. But if you only wanted to, have access to another department's network and not share your own access, that's also a possibility.
Okay, appreciate that. You mentioned the Fourth Amendment issues and a number of rulings out of the Sixth Circuit, and I think you said the Ninth Circuit. Are you aware of a circuit split on this issue?
No.
Okay, so the rulings out of any circuits have all been finding that it's not a Fourth Amendment violation.
Correct.
Regarding state and federal subpoenas, I know you're saying that the agency owns the data. So are you saying that you are not subject to a state or federal subpoena for any information that you hold?
So it's clearly outlined in our contract that if we receive a request for your data, whether a legal request, any request, we alert Bay City. And that is in the contract, that if we receive a warrant or a subpoena, that we alert you, let you all know about it so you all can respond to it.
I guess that didn't entirely answer my question. So would you still honor the subpoena, or would you say, here, Bay City, here's your subpoena, like it's not up to us?
That's up to this point. We have never been put in a position where we have been told, no, Flock, you respond. Every time we have redirected the request, it has been redirected to that agency.
Okay, so to be clear, you have never directly responded to a state or federal subpoena. You have referred it to the local agency.
I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say that with 100% confidence. What I can say is that within the last year, when you say receive a subpoena, we receive subpoenas all the time and we redirect them. When you say receive and respond to a subpoena, like...
I guess I mean handing over any information. Like, because it's one thing to give the information and then to send a notice to Bay City saying, we responded to this subpoena.
I see, yes. So no, that has not happened. Like, we let you know. We do not hand over the information and then say, hey, we handed over the information. We alert you that we have received this request so you can respond to it.
Thank you. And then the last question I have is regarding potential hacking of logins. I believe I heard something about logins being hacked. Are you aware of such security breaches? And if so, have you done anything to help prevent local agencies' logins from being hacked?
Yeah, absolutely. So Flock requires multi-factor authentication by default. There are a few individual agencies that do not use multi-factor authentication by default, and we are working with them. We're encouraging them to do that to make sure that they have those additional safeguards. We're not aware of. I'm aware of what you're talking about of things, logins being found. We're not aware of any hack being that has occurred.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Coakley.
Thank you for coming. So just a lot of my questions are answered already. But let's say we decide to share the information with Saginaw or Tuscola because we had something happen here. Once it's shared, now the control is lost on our end. It's out there with those other agencies and we're depending on them to keep it.
Yes, so when you establish a one-to-one sharing agreement with them, you're establishing that they can search your images and potentially download them for evidentiary purposes. And then once they have it, they handle it according to the standards of evidence in their jurisdiction.
So basically, once it's out there, it's out there.
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned something about agreement with Virginia and Flock where they came together. And is there anything like that with Michigan?
Not yet. We haven't had that sort of state legislation here yet, but we're open to it. We work with ACLU chapters across the country to find common ground on sharing and data retention.
So currently, there's nothing
Yes.
in writing on that. Just another oddball question that's just for my own thing. Do you have any current lawsuits going against you right now and if so, what are they? and the reasons of it.
No, I mean, I think what you're probably referring to is lawsuits regarding data and whatnot. I mean, I can't speak to if there's a lawsuit by a former employee or anything like that. But in relation to the product itself, no.
Thank you. I think that's all I have for you.
All right, Commissioner Tenney.
Thank you to the chair. Thanks to the presenter for being here as well.
Absolutely.
I just help me understand this. You all don't generate the hot lists on your own, right? Like,
Correct.
That's not a flock thing. Okay.
Correct.
So safe to say, police generate the hot lists.
Yes.
So, and I'm bringing this up because I don't think it's just an issue of semantics. I think we're really selling the women and men in uniform short when we say that you all solve crimes. Police solve crime.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, not machines.
100%.
Okay, so, but you've said it verbally and in writing that you all solve crime. So I just wanted to highlight that because I do take issue with that.
Oh, if I insinuated that, I 100% agree with your assessment. It absolutely is the law enforcement solving these crimes, and we are proud to be a part of it.
All right, appreciate that.
Okay, Commissioner DeWitt.
Hi, and I have a few questions, so thanks for dealing with me. The first one is two instances of flock being pushed as a helpful tool in our region. The first one would have been a young man who disappeared from the Renaissance Festival earlier this summer. Within 6 hours of it being posted, there was saying flock found the license plate at the ALPR that's right outside of the facility or of the Renaissance Festival owned by the state of Michigan. He was found 500 miles away. So using like a lot of these articles that say flock did this, flock did that, flock found people, an agency submitted a request and got a hit. So along with Commissioner Tenney's point, a lot of the statistics that say that you're saying that flock helps solve 15% of all crimes. Flock was pinged in 15% of all criminal investigations and may or may not have returned any results. I just want to make that clear that percentage of solved crimes is nowhere near what the actual number is. Because the second one is here in Bay City. Back in late August, I believe it was, Public Safety posted about a stolen vehicle from Bay City that was found in Buena Vista that was claimed because of a flock hit. You can go up and look for the flock locations in Buena Vista Township where they said that it was found. I didn't pull a FOIA on it because I didn't want to get too deep in the weeds, but from what I could find, that vehicle was not found close to where the Buena Vista cameras are. It may have gotten off at the exit, but it was not flock that solved that crime. It was in the area, and some neighbor would have noticed a missing vehicle. So I don't think it's a pure justification that it's actually solving the crimes. It's just a tool that they're using alongside their actual police work to do the job.
Absolutely.
And I don't think it is as effective. I think it's just a minor tool in the long term based off of the examples that I've been able to find on what it actually does. As for court cases, the one that, it's not a Fourth Amendment court case one, it's about right of information. Skagit County out west in Washington State determined that, their court system determined that all of the data is FOIable. Now that doesn't apply here yet because that is not a jurisdiction that is in Michigan. Mm-hmm. However, that precedent could lead to individuals FOIA-ing and getting information from flock through their law enforcement agencies of all their information if they so choose, or of anyone's information if they so chose. Go along with that, back when we were first talking about this in August, I sent a request and a Mr. Lampman from flock responded, where I requested a sample using my information so I could get it, and he told me I couldn't get it. But it doesn't search just the license plate of your vehicle. He said, law enforcement can utilize flock memory systems for the purpose of unique identifiers such as make, body style, color, presence of decals, and the license plate. So it's gathering a lot more than just the license plate. That was from Michael Lampman. It's mike.lampman@flocksafety.com.
Yes, Mike's here.
So like that, in your presentation you said that it is only the license plates.
No.
I got a response that is way more than that.
Oh, no, I never said it was only license plates. We absolutely do have vehicle fingerprint. Thank you. We absolutely do have the vehicle fingerprint technology, which again, with hit and runs, when you're hit by a car, you're not looking at the license plate. And so we have several cases where an officer has been able to take a statement where they knew they were hit by a red truck, for example, and they were able to utilize the vehicle fingerprint to identify that. Also, license plates are stolen, license plates are removed or obscured, and so the vehicle fingerprint is absolutely a part of the Flock technology.
And to add on to what is also part of the Flock technology, Flock recently, and I just turned off the thing on my Ring, has a partnership with Amazon where Amazon is collecting facial and characteristic definitions of people and animals it sees on its cameras when they ping, that they are currently only using for lost pets. It's called Search Party. But the one release I found mentioned that they would be using it in the future for facial recognition using Ring private cameras. And that is tied into from a Flock technology to use private cameras. So I think that this is only for vehicles, doesn't really fit when we're looking at the vehicles, and they are doing on the side, on this likely the same servers, the identity searches off of private cameras. And I think that's something that if this passes before these are installed, that needs to be segregated completely.
So it already is segregated. It's a completely different product that does not require facial recognition. It's a law enforcement data aggregation product where if there is a Ring camera that has proactively opted, or a Ring user that has proactively opted in to an anonymous reporting from their Ring camera of a crime, for example, I had literally a shooter underneath my stairs. Police had to come to my doorstep, and I provided them my Ring footage by emailing it to them. In that sort of case, I could have provided it and it would have been integrated into that system anonymously and proactively by that person. Flock does not have access to facial recognition software in the Amazon Ring platform.
However, the search party is opt-out first. So you're automatically opt into the search party system, which is currently only looking for characteristics.
Again, this is a completely separate product that is not license plate readers. I do not know Amazon's terms. I do know that we do not use facial recognition and that it is a part of a separate product. That is not what we're discussing here today.
I don't see how that's any different from a camera that has the technology for recording. I'm going to believe you, but I do not believe that is a actual difference in the end result. The last one I have is the one that came up here quite often. That was the abuse of individual usage for searching, and it was addressed once by different commissioner about a data hack, but mine goes beyond the data hack and into the actual abuse of the systems, and how it took a long time for Flock to fully respond and for the departments themselves to respond to requests from Flock to get things back and forth. So like the data delay there on somebody tracking an individual over multiple states for something that is not illegal in the location they're in is a problem. And I know they're trying to fix that, but they have not fully fixed that system-wide from anything that I could find. And that just makes it ever the more a problem when you have cities, you have two in Michigan that have opted out in the past 3 months with Kalamazoo and Ferndale, along with multiple in Illinois and a few others around the country that I've searched for. So although there are more opting in, there are also a lot opting out, and it is something that when you read their justifications for opting out, it is mostly they're unhappy with how things are handled on the Flock end. Thank you.
No, we have absolutely appreciate that question, and you know we always regret when anyone chooses not to use it anymore. It's absolutely the right. We have contracts for a reason. People can end those contracts, and there have been a little over a dozen that have chosen to do that. We're just really grateful for the fact that over 700 city councils, specifically, not including other procurement by departments, but 700 city councils specifically have chosen to continue with Flock or start new contracts with Flock this year. And with those concerns regarding wanting to make sure folks are fully aware of how to prevent their community's public safety information from being used against their value. That's why we always want to make clear, when you get started on Flock, by default, you are sharing with no one. Only agencies get to choose who they want to expand that into. In addition, that's why we've rolled out these filters for the abortion and reproductive health and immigration, so that if they are sharing and they want that extra layer of caution, just in case someone might be using it against their values or against their laws, that they have that additional level of protection. And so we are continually, as I laid out in the presentation, listening from departments, from folks that may not be happy, and saying not that they're wrong, but figuring out how do we learn from that? How do we make this better? What you don't hear me saying in any of this conversation is that the people that don't like Flock are bad or wrong. What you hear me saying is we're listening and that we're improving and that we want to make sure that every community feels comfortable using the Flock cameras. So thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Renberg.
Thank you for being here and presenting. I do have to say it right off the hand for being a neutral point of information on this. It was quite the sales presentation. That aside, you did mention specifically the Norfolk, Virginia case, that this is still ongoing litigation. But at the same time, you said that this wouldn't be found to be in violation of the Fourth Amendment. What I'm looking at is a precedent set by Carpenter v. United States in 2018. I'm sure you're familiar with that one.
Very.
Okay. For those who aren't familiar with it, it was found to be a violation for cell phone metadata to be tracked over multiple cell phone towers to create a mosaic, I believe is the term they used, of patterns of movement for an individual. So since those cases aren't thrown out yet, that still is a concern to me because clearly there's still litigation to be had on it. Another concern is you said that I understand that those are reputable security authentication credentials that you have earned as a company. How is it that multi-factor authentication isn't native to the Flock system to begin with? Why is it that we have to rely on individual agencies to adopt the use of multi-factor authentication?
Yeah, so multi-factor authentication is by default. In the very, very few individual cases that we've identified, there are police agencies with dispatchers who may not be provided a work cell phone that might not provide that. We are actively working with them to encourage them to get to that point, but multi-factor authentication is by default.
Okay, it seems like it should be mandatory. I know that as early as the start of this month, Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon had called on the FTC to investigate Flock because of the login credentials that were found on the for sale on a Russian hacker site. And that was tied back to the not using multi-factor authentication. So it is strange to me that that wouldn't be a requirement. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was in our contract, in the plain language of it, it says that Flock will share in good faith with other agencies. I understand that the information is so quote unquote owned by our local municipality. However, I know it's stored on, I believe, Amazon Web Service platform. And so it's not owned in the sense that we retain actual possession of it. It is available outside of us. And I am concerned with that statement saying with the good faith they'll share with it, because I know this past summer, Illinois has a state law that prohibits the sharing of that information with federal agencies for the purpose of immigration enforcement. Yet, there were multiple instances where Flock did share that information in violation of the Illinois state law. So I'm concerned as to how well we can protect that information from outside agencies, even if it is law.
Can I address the Illinois situation?
Please.
So Flock did not share that information, and it was never accused that Flock shared that information. What happened in Illinois was there were several sharing relationships that Illinois agencies made out of state, and as part of those sharing relationships, they actually got an attestation, an affidavit, saying we will abide by Illinois state law. Those agencies did not do that. They did not abide by that. And so that is where the Illinois Secretary of State made his findings that that was happening. Similar to what happened in California, where Attorney General Rob Bonta identified areas where there were certain individual agencies that were sharing outside of state lines that went against state law. What happened was the Attorney General in California's case reached out, said, looks like you got your settings wrong. They switched it off and they fixed it, and it was done except for one, which he is suing. Again, he is not suing Flock, he is suing this agency for violating the law. In Illinois, what happened was similar. Those situations were rectified. And this was a part of the feedback that we got from agencies. We have always provided the tools for law enforcement agencies to be compliant. So we provided the toggles, we provided the ability to shut off sharing, all of those things. What we heard from agencies as a result of what happened in California and Illinois is they said to Flock, we just want you to do it for us. If this is what our laws are, don't give us the toggles so that we might make a mistake. In a lot of cases, these were mistakes. This was not an intentional thing that they were doing as a part of a mass conspiracy. In many of these departments, they just had the button wrong. And they said, we want you to just do it for us. And that's what we've done. We removed those sharing agreements going outside of Illinois. We prevented any of those outside sharing agreements from going outside California. And that's a lesson we learned. We're not coming to this saying that we couldn't have done anything better. We know we could have done something better because we're doing it now. And we're doing it even more so in the coming months.
Thank you for that. Just a couple more. So on that same topic, one of the concerns I have, and I guess this isn't so much as a question as it's an observation, is that it's really hard to hold Flock accountable for any of these things. And it's kind of like playing whack-a-mole, because it always seems in all the articles I've read, it comes back to the local municipality's responsibility to properly secure that information and to not share it outside of their whatever guidelines that they have for who they're allowed to share with. It's a technology. I understand that you have a lot of feedback and you're listening and incorporating a lot of those changes. But it is concerning to me how many articles I've read from how many different cases or situations where it's fallen on the local agency's shoulders to respond to whatever the occurrence was. So that's concerning for me. And then the other one I had on here may have actually already been addressed. But, oh yeah, that was the other thing. So I know that, to my colleague from the 6th Ward's point, that currently that technology with the facial recognition is a completely separate product right now.
Well, to be clear, we don't have facial recognition in any of our products currently.
Currently, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, is at what point does it come back before the commission when a new feature is rolled out that the local enforcement agency will have access to? Because it doesn't seem like there's a way to like a threshold for how much the iteration changes the technology for it to come back to us again. And I understand a lot of municipalities, and I don't say this is the only reason, but a lot of municipalities are now opting to get out of their Flock contract, and it's been a struggle from the ones I've read anyways, trying to get out of their Flock contracts, because I know Flock's been pushing back on them.
I think you're referring to Evanston, Illinois. Yeah, so on a couple, I'll touch on Evanston, then I'll go to the facial recognition. Evanston is a mountain out of a molehill that some folks have decided to make a mountain. They decided to cancel their contract, which they are fully entitled to do. We had a disagreement over the state of how they canceled that contract, whether it was with cause or without cause. So as contract lawyers have their contract lawyers. In the meantime, a tech preemptively started taking down a camera, realized he was doing it before anything was resolved, and then put it back up, and all of a sudden it became a thing that, oh, they're refusing to take down the cameras. What has happened, the lawyers talked, they said, listen, we'll just take down the cameras while this whole situation is going on, and I actually feel pretty confident we're gonna have an amicable resolution to all of this. So Evanston has become a TikTok thing, and it is what it is. When it comes to facial recognition, I feel confident in saying that if that were to, again, we have no products with that, that would not be any sort of automatic update, especially across the country. Cities and counties like San Francisco have a prohibition on any facial recognition. You all could implement that as well. We will always abide by state, local, and federal laws, and I feel pretty confident. Because it doesn't exist, I can't say yes or no, but I feel very confident that that would not come as a part of something that we just throw in to something, that it would require an additional level of agreement.
All right, I guess that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Yes, Commissioner Cubitt.
2 follow-ups. You mentioned that, you gave the example of Illinois state law, that you built it into the system so that nobody could violate Illinois state law. You removed that. So I appreciate that you're evolving so that if there's maybe a local or state policy, you're setting that into the system to try and minimize any violations of that law or local policy. I just wanted to ask if you could share a little bit about what you have more in the coming months down the road. I know there are a lot of concerns. I can hear the things that you've been working on trying to address and listen, which I appreciate. So if you can give us any insight about what might be coming and when that might be coming, that would be helpful.
Could you be more in regards to product, in regards to our compliance features?
You mentioned this in the discussion about compliance and about the laws and about, giving everyone the tools to be compliant. You mentioned that we're doing a lot now and more in the coming months. So I'm asking you to elaborate on the more in the coming months.
Yes, absolutely. So what's coming up most recently, likely in the next couple of weeks, are those drop-down reasons tabs. So those are going to be rolling out in the next couple of weeks. So those are based on the FBI's what they call NIBRs, which are the most common crime types. And we are also going to be adding in what we have in conversations with our law enforcement partners go beyond that to make sure that every single one is going to be listed so that we can have every department and every audit has full accountability and tracking of how these are being used. The second thing that's being rolling out that I mentioned is the proactive auditing. That is not there yet. That is also being rolled out. And we're also looking into how do we make our audits more user-friendly. Right now, when you pull an audit, we have both the agency audit, which is how your agency is using the Flock system, and we have a network audit, which is how those you choose to share with are searching. So you don't just see how your agencies are using it, but you see how the agencies you're using your system are using it as well. We want to make that much more simple, in addition to showing if there is actually a hit. Because on a lot of these cases that we've seen, searches that have gone against a community's value from someone they shared with, they actually likely, we can't say for certain, but they very likely didn't actually return a hit or a piece of evidence that was actually used. In our upgraded audit system, what you're going to see is if, say, Detroit searched your system and they actually found what they were looking for, because again, they're not going through individual pictures one by one, they're doing the search, and if it has a hit, you'll actually know, oh, Detroit used our searching agreement, they searched for ABC123, and they found it on one of their cameras. In your audits, you're now going to be able to see that. So those are some of the things, again, transparency is great, but it's also only as good as how useful it is. And so we have the transparency tools there, and what we're looking for in the coming months is how we can make them more useful, not just to oversight bodies like the commission, but to the public themselves.
All set? Any other questions? Commissioner Morris.
Surface level question, basic question. Speeding. Whenever someone talks to me about these cameras, and this has been answered here before, there's no software, there's nothing in the cameras that will mark how many miles per hour you're going. It just takes pictures of the license plates.
Correct. It is a motion activated camera. It does not take, it will not issue speeding tickets. It's not a red light camera. Correct.
And you don't foresee any of that software coming down the pipeline?
I always hesitate to say what I foresee because that's not my role.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's all I wanted to ask.
No speeding, no red light.
Because you're on camera. So everyone can see this, that there's no speeding software in the camera.
No speeding.
That's all I got.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else? I do have a few questions myself. Again, thank you for coming and presenting. Accuracy rate. Are there misreads, false positives? How often does it happen?
Mm-hmm. So our latest numbers, I believe, are well over 90%. Misreads do happen, and when they do, we use those to improve our machine learning. So there's actually an option. We encourage every single police department to, if they read a plate and it has a hit, say, for a stolen vehicle, we always encourage every department to have a policy that they visually confirm. A lot of folks mistakenly think of Flock as judge, jury, and executioner, that the minute you have a hit, that automatically means you're guilty. As was mentioned earlier, it is a tool. But we're very proud of our success rate, and the machine learning helps us to continually improve on that success rate.
Okay, we have toll bridges here that use camera systems, and there's been some issues with false reads.
Oh, okay.
And so it's caused some problems, and so community is kind of skeptical when it comes to these things.
For sure.
FOIA, is this, can the public access it by request to our department? How does that work?
So it works the same. Washington State was brought up. I think it's important to note Washington State has an extremely broad definition in statute of their public records request. It is extremely unique nationwide, and as was mentioned, we're currently navigating that. That is not the situation in Michigan. So as has been handled now, it'd be handled similar to any public records request that your law enforcement agency currently gets.
Okay, that's one of the concerns I have, is that a neighbor could request
Yeah.
certain license plates and get the access to that information and data like any other information the city has. So is that accurate then?
Is what accurate?
That they could access, request under FOIA, maybe that's,
They could request under FOIA, and your agency would empower to redact anything that was identifiable similarly to what they are currently doing with FOIA requests.
so maybe the manager who's our FOIA, how would that be handled? So if somebody did a FOIA, could you talk about that?
Yeah, public safety does their own FOIA, so he might want to answer that.
Perfect.
A FOIA request just for like random information about somebody.
Their neighbor has XYZ plate, and they
Would have
want
to
to
be-
see if it's accessible to see where they've gone. Is
have
that
to be
possible?
involved in an actual complaint, like a case that we're investigating, and it's part of that case. It's not, like most of the plates that get, taken a picture of, they're never going to be looked at, to be honest. Like, they're just random plates that go by. We're not going to access that and store that information. If we access it and store it in relation to a criminal complaint, then it would be subject to FOIA, but again, most of the identifying information is redacted.
Okay, thank you. While you're up here, I have a couple other questions. Vendors, have we looked at other vendors as a choice? That was asked to me, and why Flock is the only vendor we.
I know he's sitting right here. I'm not getting any commission. Trust me, I've heard that suggested. I don't get anything from this, but there's Flock and then there's everybody else. There's nothing that compares to the technology that we provide. All of our neighbors use Flock, which makes it that much more, helpful because you can interchange information from one system to another. It's similar to, we brought back body cameras just a few months ago. And we looked at, because there's a lot of different vendors for that now because it went up, I don't know, at least twice the price it was the last time. But and we continue to go with Axon because there's Axon and then there's everybody else. It's kind of a similar situation.
And so similar kind of, because I get asked, why can't we just do this ourselves? We do have an IT department. Why couldn't we just install cameras and monitor this?
It's just not conceivable. It's not possible. This is like, the bridge concern. I know people said we should do our own license plate readers for that and recoup the money ourselves. This is like 10 times the technology that was.
Okay,
It's
thank
not
you.
possible.
All right, thank you for that information. Cost, you do bring up cost. So this is a 2-year contract,
Yes.
and but the cost could double down the road because there's some concerns about costs residents have brought up to me on the line.
The cost could go up and we could also cancel because of the cost. I mean, that's why it's only a 2-year deal. Some places do longer just to secure the price, but
And if I could add, it was referenced that we had some law enforcement agencies or communities choose to no longer work with us. Some of them chose because of budgetary constraints.
Okay. Say something, so I have a question. So say we have a 2-year contract, this is approved tonight, but 6 months from now, something happens. I know there's been a lot of, technology implementation to prevent like some kind of data breach, but say it happens. We say we want out. What happens then?
Yeah, if there is a cause, you are fully entitled through the contract to terminate the contract. There's the full for-cause termination clause that's in there. So it is definitely an available option if something that, like you're describing, happened.
Okay. Destruction of cameras. I saw several people say, well, they're just going to chop these things down. Or what is the, how tough are these cameras to abuse?
So they're placed on, if we install them on our poles are 7 feet high. There is an $800 replacement fee for the cameras if they are damaged, because again, the city does not own them. It's a lease agreement, and so we take care of all the updates, upgrades, and fixing. So that would be a $800 charge, I believe, according to the contract.
So a resident destroys one, the city's on the hook for $800.
And that resident would be destroying public safety equipment because it would fall on that statute, and they would be eligible for the repercussions of that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and if we didn't get restitution that way, we can always file an insurance claim as well.
Okay, and the city of, just to verify, so the city of Ferndale did cancel their contract. Was it for cause or was it not for cause?
It was not for cause. They decided they no longer wanted to move forward with it.
Okay, the same thing. So Kalamazoo still has their contract, or did they cancel it?
To my understanding, Kalamazoo still has their contract, or, yeah, yes, yeah.
Their concern was a data breach. Is that my understanding? Is that a correct understanding, or that's what I read? I'm just.
Yeah, I haven't heard specifically about Kalamazoo, but there has been no data breach.
Okay.
Again, from what I read, they were limiting their sharing.
They pulled back the sharing. Right. They were concerned that there was a data breach, and then they pulled back the sharing. Okay.
And when I think it's important to note, because the term data breach, while innocuous, symbolizes something much broader. When people are saying the words data breach, what they're actually seem to be referring to in many of these cases is they didn't understand who they were sharing with. And so that is why, as you heard, Kalamazoo has decided to restrict their sharing because either the city didn't know the full extent of who they were sharing with.
Okay, that's all the questions I have. Thank you again. We have some more follow-ups. Commissioner Morris.
Real quick, please. I would like to know some examples of what you've seen with municipalities canceling their contracts. What would be for cause? Because that would let me know what could possibly happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have the contract right in front of me, but there are clear and specific terms that are in the contract regarding how Flock handles the data. So if Flock violates that would be a cause. If we it specifically says that we do not sell data. If that were ever to be the case, which I'm confident it would not be, that would be a cause. Anything that goes against the terminology in the contract would be for cause and allow for immediate termination without, contractual penalties.
So it would be more or less with anything that happens on your end would be for cause. But has there do you know for cause on the municipality side where, like we were talking about, a breach, right? Which obviously, if there's a breach, I get that. But how common is the misuse of the Flock camera system with the municipality? Have you seen anyone cancel, or can you give me examples of people who canceled because of misuse? Would that be considered a cause, even though it's not necessarily on your end?
So the only for cause that I have been seeing is in Evanston, and again, we've had a disagreement on whether or not there was cause there, and again, I'll just feel confident we're going to resolve that amicably. So I'm not aware of any contract with Flock that has been terminated for cause. But if there is a bad actor within the department that misuses it, since that would not be Flock, that would not be a cause.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Cubit.
I actually have one for our director. So I understand that Flock, you're saying if there was a stolen vehicle from a bar downtown, that by accessing the system, you think that it would be very quick to be able to try and do the real-time policing. But if without that you still do the old-fashioned police work, and if a private citizen or a private business chooses to use a Ring camera and chooses to share that data with you, it's more time-consuming, but that you do and will continue to use those resources.
Of course.
All set? All right, Commissioner Coakley.
Yeah, a couple questions here. One, I know this is not Bay City, I know it's not, but I see the cameras on 75 and 10. Are those flat cameras? I'm assuming they're state if they are.
Yes,
Most likely. Oh, you're talking to him? Sorry.
they are.
So we already have that technology in the area, basically watching people coming in and out on that way. Are there other ones nearby that you're aware of?
A lot of the interchanges on the highway, 675,
And once again, I realize those are not Bay Cities, they're somebody else's,
State
but
police.
they are monitoring who's coming in and out of our city. The money for this, maybe the city manager can help out. I know there's been a lot of talk on this. I know there's grants involved and so forth that need to go specifically to things. Could you walk us through the money and how that works?
I'm going to let Director Rowell explain that because it's coming from different sources within the department.
roughly 8,500 of it is from Justice Department grant. It's called JAG money. And the remainder of it is actually, it was not from the general fund, it was from a security camera fund that the city has had for a few years that just didn't spend it. And that's where the remainder of the money for this current fiscal year is coming from.
So we basically can't take that money and put it towards a side street or something else infrastructure-wise?
Not that I'm aware of, I'm not
That's-
George, but
No, it's questions that's been asked and just want
Right.
to have the
Yeah.
answer for that. I mean, I know things are set for specific things and just wanted to see if this is one of those cases. That's all I got. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Oh, Commissioner Zai.
Right. Just one question. Do you have any experience where your cameras aren't being used for police departments or communities where, private apartment complexes in Florida? Is that your system?
Yes, we have some HOAs that use us. As I mentioned earlier, we have some retail customers that use us for organized retail crime as well. But again, they do not have access to government data or hot lists. Absolutely.
Okay, everybody all set now? All right, again, thank you, everybody, for the presentations, for our discussion later on the contract. Next item of business is the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Commissioner Teddy.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second? Commissioner Coakley?
Second.
And then we'll amend it with that time. I'm sorry, there's a discussion on maybe okay. So do any members of the commission wish to add an item on the agenda? Oh, Commissioner DeWitt.
Yes, and I'll pass it out once I read it. This is obviously for the public here, before I state it, that this would be a vote after anything else that happens. So the terminology in here, it is not saying we are doing anything. It is essentially an if-then situation. So 3 points. Whereas the Bay City Commission formally rejects the automated license plate reader contract with Flock Security, whereas funding initially approved by the Commission for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, has funds currently allocated to the security camera account that will need to be reconciled. Be it resolved that funding originally intended for the security camera account in the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026 be redistributed as allowable. Funding tied to grants for law enforcement operations and equipment will be redistributed to other applicable purchases that fall under the allowance of the grant, including but not limited to body armor, uniforms, and wearable service accessories, body cameras, vehicle radios, or other similar items that would qualify to applicable grants. Funds not tied to grant compliance, funding set for the security camera account, will be reallocated toward asset management of fire personnel-specific purposes for equipment management. All funding adjustments out of the security cameras account will be ready for the City Commission meeting scheduled for December 1st, 2025 as a budget amendment.
Okay, is there a second to that? Commissioner Runberg.
Second.
All right, will the clerk please call the roll on the amendment to the agenda? It's just added. Okay, so you just added it. Is there any items that need to be added to tonight's agenda? All right, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll of the adoption of the agenda as amended?
Okay.
Do that, yep.
Commissioner Cubit,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Tenney,
Yes.
Zanati, DeWitt,
Yes.
Rumberg,
Yes.
Charlebois,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Agenda's been approved as amended. All right, next order of business is the consent agenda. Do any members of the commission wish to make a change to the consent agenda? Commissioner Runberg.
Yeah, I'd like to pull item 5 for consideration on the regular agenda. It's city manager recommending agreement with Flock Group.
Thank you. That'll be added to the regular agenda. Any other item to be added to the regular agenda? Okay, next order of business calls for public input on the consent agenda. This is the opportunity for citizens to remove an item from consent for consideration on the regular agenda. If anyone in the audience wishes to make a change, please come to the microphone, print your name on the registration sheet, state your name and address for the record, and the item you wish to have considered on the regular agenda. All right, seeing no one, is there a motion on the consent agenda? Commissioner DeWitt.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Is there a second? Commissioner Runberg.
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the consent agenda?
Commissioner Coakley,
Yes.
Tenney,
Yes.
Zanati,
Yes.
DeWitt,
Yes.
Rumberg,
Yes.
Charlebois,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Cubit,
Yes.
yes.
All right, consent agenda has been approved. Next order of business calls for public input. Under the rules of the City Commission, each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes to speak. Commissioner Coakley will serve as the timekeeper. This is the opportunity for citizens to address the commission regarding any agenda item or any other matter. If anyone wishes to address the commission, please come forward, put your name on the registration sheet, and state your name and address for the record. We do ask that everyone be respectful in addressing the mayor and commission. Public input is a one-way communication, and the mayor and commissioners cannot answer questions at this time. You're welcome to meet after the meeting if you have further information. Yep, one at a time.
Paul Kleinhaus, 1713 10th Street. I have a few counter arguments and things to point out. Apologies because I wrote this on the fly as the speaker talked. First, I think it's BS to claim there's no identifying info being collected. A license plate is identifying info. It links to a person who has a name and an address. It is twisting the truth to claim otherwise. Additionally, you can't hide that the data wasn't collected just because you never happened to search it. Just because the database goes unused doesn't mean we weren't surveilled. Next, the claims this does not track people, just still images, is spin. A collection of time-stamped coordinates across 30 days allows prediction and pattern recognition, and a February Flock press release, just scrolled my screen 1 second. February Flock press release describes how Flock is proud of doing this. The release, expansive AI and data analysis tool set for law enforcement, the company announced several new capabilities, including something called multi-state insights, helping investigators uncover networks and trends. Its powers used to claim that they are, that's all that said, my words. These powers that might be used to claim they are hunting transnational gangs now are just as easily used to track individual people later. Next, using license plate readers to determine if a crime happened in a specific photo as a single snapshot of a moment is very different than storing a month worth of someone's travel history. It allows retroactive tracking of someone's travel patterns. If we instead imagine this as a police officer being assigned to every person in Bay City for 30 days at a time and writing down the time when they pass certain intersections, we would feel very different. Cameras do not make this suddenly okay, and hiding behind ongoing constitutionality challenges failing doesn't either. Next, we also shouldn't forget there will be pressure from Flock in the future to expand our usage to collect even more data and establish broader sharing relationships that feed into their multi-state analysis, makes the product more appealing to sell. Example, elsewhere in the country they are selling gunshot detection cameras that are now adding voice detection. For-profit companies will seek to sell more product. We are not buying cameras, we are buying a service. We don't own these cameras, we are leasing them, as they just said. This is an ongoing subscription cost for profit. Next, Flock's own claims of only going after people associated with the crime has already been challenged. There's a story where the EFF, Electronic Frontier Foundation, documented a 2024 Detroit case where cops used cameras to search all Dodge Chargers in an area following a shooting. That broad search led cops to a car located 2 miles away. They detained the car's owner, Isoke Robinson, and placed her 2-year-old son in their squad car. Robinson's car was impounded for 3 weeks. They had nothing to do with the case. There was also another story about a woman from Denver driving through a small town being accused of stealing a package because she drove through town at an inconvenient time. She had to prove her own innocence of her own stops that day to get the case dropped. Next, Flock says they removed access for federal agencies to access this data. But what happens if the feds say they have a law enforcement purpose and demand access to the privately owned Amazon cloud servers? It's not on a server in Bay City we can judicially defend. I find the fact this theory is untested per today's speaker to not make me feel better. There was a case where Virginia gave search access to the ATF, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, for help with drug and gun crimes, and the ATF used that access to search for immigration enforcement information to send to ICE. We can't be naive that there are billions in government contracts with companies like Palantir and Anduril to build mass surveillance and, in their words, solve all crimes. I also want to point out that the contract posted online only limits the usage of the cameras for law enforcement purposes, and any audits are done by DPS itself. While I trust our department's intentions with the tech, both the guardrails and the audit not being handled by a third party worry me. I'm nearly done, I know I'm low on time. The majority of the speaker's argument today relied heavily on a crime panic narrative. I should remind the room that crime data is public, and crime in town and nationwide is down, and has been going down for years, barring the COVID spike. These stories are meant to evoke an emotional response in order to purchase their product. We must remember this is a private company, a for-profit company. We are paying them for a subscription, and the price of that subscription is not merely at cost, they must make a profit. And the contract shown says nothing about these ongoing costs. Who's to say, like with the bridge partners screwing us, that all of a sudden in a few years the price doesn't jump? I challenge the commission to name a single spunky tech startup subscription service where prices don't double or triple the moment the VC money runs out. Final. Mass surveillance is risky enough as is. Privatizing it for profit is worse. Pass a budget resolution and move the money to the fire stations. Thank you.
Thank you. We're not going to do a prolonged clapping. That'd be great. Thank you.
Glad most people are in agreement in this room. I wrote my words down as well, so I don't rant here.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Chadwick Twillman. And first of all, I would like to say good evening, Chris Gerard, commissioners. But yes, my name is Chadwick Twillman. I am running for State Senate here in District 35 because I believe...
Please state your address.
4755 East Washington Road. Fellow Bay City residents, hello. So that's 4755 East Washington Road. My name's Chadwick Twillman. I'm running for Senate here in District 35. I believe government must protect our rights, not erode them. Tonight, you are being asked to spend $84,000 of our money to turn Bay City into a node in Flock Safety's nationwide dragnet, blanketing our streets with automated license plate readers and photograph every vehicle. Every trip to work, church, the doctor, or a political meeting. They can upload that data into a corporate database searchable by thousands of agencies across the country. This is not about catching stolen cars. This is about turning the constitutional right to travel freely and unmolested into a relic of the past. The United States Supreme Court has repeatedly affirmed that Americans possess a reasonable expectation of privacy in their long-term movements. U.S. versus Jones, and as was mentioned earlier, Carpenter versus United States back in 2018. Mass suspicionless tracking of our comings and goings violates the Fourth Amendment, 100%. Michigan's own constitution, which I would expect every government building to carry one. I couldn't find one today in anyone I went into. But Michigan's own constitution in Article 1, Section 11 is even stronger than the federal one. Yet Flock's business model depends on doing exactly what the courts say government cannot do on its own: building a permanent, searchable history of where we've been, who we've visited, and when we've already seen these abuses. Police in other states using Flock to track people to abortion clinics. ICE pulling plate data for immigration enforcement. A Kansas officer stalking his ex-wife with the system. Could be abused. Bay City residents deserve better than becoming data points for an out-of-state profit machine. We do not need sacrifice. We do not need to sacrifice the privacy of every law-abiding citizen to solve crimes that are already solvable. I have 2 bills already drafted to address these concerns without violating public rights or the public. You can find those at chadwicktwoolman.com. I urge you to reject this contract tonight. If anything, they should be paying the residents to collect data. Do not trade our birthright of freedom for the illusion of safety. Bay City can fight crime without becoming a surveillance city. Protect our constitutional rights. Vote no on the Flock agreement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rachel Shore, lifelong resident, 210 King Street.
Make sure the green light's on, so it's...
Hi, Rachel Shore, Bay City resident, 210 King Street. I don't have a lot more to say. One thing, I was really surprised to hear that you've only got 700 clients. 700 clients. He's talking about 700 city commissions, just like us. That's not a lot. He wants you guys to buy our surveillance to cooperate with 700 in the country. DeWitt, I'm very glad that you brought up to postpone this until December. I am disgusted and shocked that these people's first presentation.
That's not allowable under our rules to address...
I'm shocked.
So,
Okay, I'm shocked that the first presentation of this is tonight and you guys are voting on it.
I'm going to ask that we stop applauding, please.
Not okay, all right.
We want to make sure everybody has a time to speak. We have a lot of speakers, so. Thank you.
My name is Tyler Edkins. I'm a resident and homeowner of 1400 Woodside. I came to address an error. I do apologize. I ran as fast as I saw this on YouTube. The technology is easily replicable in my own home.
So make sure you address the commission and myself when you're speaking.
I do apologize. We can do this on our own, cheaply, through Amazon, through DigiKey, through unknown vendors. I mean, we can even go cheap Chinese routes. We can get the modules. This runs on 4G LTE. If you really want to push the 5G LTE for the high definition cameras, we can do that. T-Mobile gives us that ability. We can do a contract with T-Mobile, but we can own the data ourselves. We can own everything ourselves, cheaply, very cheaply, and we can do it without a contract. And if you want to, we can just go right on over to Delta College. I'm pretty sure some of those students are residents here in Bay City that are also, you know, screaming at the top of their lungs right now going, yes, we can also do this technology ourselves too. We don't have to contract it out. We don't have to sell our souls out like we did with the bridges. So let's think about this. We have the capabilities here in Bay City. We don't have to contract this out. We don't have to outsource. You know, let's rely on the youth maybe. You know, there's a lot of people in college that know this. I've been soldering stuff since, you know, I was in high school. I've been playing with basic stamps. Now I'm playing with ESP32s. If you know what that is, then, you know, then you're probably on my level. You know how to probably extract firmware from you know, SOP 8 chips and everything else. I work over at Commercial Kitchen Supply. I do all of the kitchens, so all of the firmware on the grills and everything, that's my domain. That's what I do. We can do this. We can do this cheaply. We don't have to sell ourselves out, especially to an outsourced company that does not, they're not residents here. They're not even here in Michigan. Let's do this locally. Let's not make a mistake here, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's John Rudberg, and I'm at 2 9th Street. To me, everything I've heard so far, I think it comes down to our city's values and our city's priorities. Mr. Mayor, City Manager, Commission members, in addition to your duties overseeing and maintaining city services, I think you should also prioritize bringing new businesses and new residents to Bay City. I have 2 questions. How many new businesses will these plate readers bring to Bay City? How many new residents will these plate readers bring to Bay City? Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Andrew Cisnowski. I reside at 2781 Sportsman Court. So just 6 weeks after 9/11, the federal government passed a bill named the U.S. Patriot Act of 2001. This bill allowed for the expansion of surveillance of U.S. residents. According to the ACLU, it allowed the government to perform record searches held by third parties, including private institutions and even medical records. It allowed for the searching of one's private property without the owner's permission if you're within 100 miles of a national border. Our shorelines are considered a national border, so that encompasses the entire lower peninsula of Michigan. It also made it easier to obtain communications information, such as emails, phone calls, and text messages. We were told that they would use these new powers to just spy on terrorists, or anyone who they viewed as potential terrorists. Then in 2013, a private contractor named Edward Snowden dropped a bombshell on the American people. Despite having all these new legal avenues of surveilling U.S. residents, the government went beyond the stated scope of law. His leaks showed that they were spying on millions of U.S. citizens. They were listening to our phone calls. They were reading our texts and emails. We gave the federal government permission to track the bad guys, and instead they set up dragnet programs to spy on virtually all of us. And the only reason we even knew they were spying on us is because someone broke the law and fled the country just to be able to tell us. Fast forward to today, and now we're being asked to pay for, with our own tax dollars, another form of mass surveillance. Once again, we're being told that this will only be used to track the bad guys. The truth of the matter is, there are multiple incidences of individuals using this data to track former spouses and significant others. If law enforcement has been caught doing this, how many times were there that we haven't caught them? To make matters worse, just last week, the state of Washington ruled that all data captured by flock cameras is considered to be public information. This means that all data captured is subject to FOIA regulations. With this new ruling, it's now possible for anyone to simply submit a FOIA request on a specific license plate, and the government must hand this information over to any civilian, not just law enforcement in the state of Washington. We're just one lawsuit away here from Michigan from having that same information to be able to disseminate it through FOIA. Regardless of how good the intentions are of installing flocking cameras, ultimately it has the potential for someone to use it as a tool against the people. I strongly urge the city of Bay City to refrain from installing flock cameras.
Thank you.
This is going to be short and to the point. I served in the U.S. Army to protect everybody in here. I was with the 101st Airborne during the Vietnam.
I'm sorry, sir. Can we get a name and address, please? Name and address, please.
Kenneth Endersby, 747 North Farley, Bay City.
Thank you.
I served with the 101st Airborne out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And I was in Saigon. I fought for your freedoms here. And I see that what we're talking about tonight is an invasion. We're becoming a police state, period. I think everybody in here is going to okay that. And I'm hoping the panel picks up on this tonight. We're losing our freedoms by this, what we see going on here tonight. Everything that my buddy and I, we go to the restaurant once in a while and have supper, dinner. We get in the car and his phone lights up and it says, "How did you enjoy your dinner at Krizak's today?" We paid by cash, went back and sat in his car, which he leases the new car, and he laughed about it. I thought, you know, that's serious. That's an invasion of my privacy. This information is being sold. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. If you listen
Excuse me, please don't. Nope. I'm going to ask you to leave if you keep up. So thank you.
No, I lost my track. It's in the billions, multi-billion-dollar industry selling information. If you go to your local credit union or your local bank today, tomorrow your phone's going to light up all day long. That information is scattered. And these third parties get a hold of it, and there's no regulations on this stuff. You are opening a Pandora box. We're losing our freedoms. We're going to be like China. This is what China does. They can pick a person out, they can pick Harry out in just a few seconds by facial recognition. And sir, I'm sorry, I can't see that good.
Oh, make sure you're addressing us.
Okay, that's coming. It's step by step by step. It's coming. We're facing it. So, look out. You're losing your freedoms. You're voting, you better vote no because you're going to lose your freedoms. Everybody in here. We don't have to be like California. We know the shape California's in. We don't have to become like them. I think we ought to take a look at what we're looking at here. It's a very disastrous road we're going down. If we continue this surveillance, China does it, North Korea does it. And we're following right in the footsteps. And it's all through safety. Bull crap. It's selling your information. It's in the billions and billions of dollars that's coming from this information. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Valerie, 1513 Helen Street. I don't really have anything new to say that the community hasn't said before against the cameras, but I think it's pretty hilarious, but not surprising, that an AIPAC shill came to glaze the very technology that targets children in Gaza. But anyway, what I really wanted to say is that we should treat these cameras and our devices as untrustworthy machinery, since they do lurk in the background of plain daylight, observing our every move and scroll while our data is being sold off and used against us. And yet we still blindly accept Big Brother into our society despite our roads and buildings in ruin and our communities tortured by this oppressive system of profit and control. Again, I will echo that our sovereignty and privacy as a community will not be threatened by those who seek to intimidate us into a suicidal future where we soullessly comply to Big Brother, who we must remind that no means no, and we will reject his every advance and abuses. The prices we pay for so-called security or freedom are not just the lives that are ruined or the taxpayer money that is spent. This false security robs us from our thoughts, feelings, social interactions, and even our dreams by giving up our freedom of identity and our dreams. And we just blindly submit ourselves to be raped by Big Brother. Our hope and dreams will always remain, even in chaos and the dystopic future that may be ahead, depending on how you vote. But ideas and hope will never die so long as we free ourselves from Big Brother's chains and drown him in the river. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan Seaver, 602 North Dean. When companies come in and make promises like this, you know, they don't really go back on them. Like the bridges, they're going to check. No, that's a bad example. The seatbelt law. When we didn't have a seatbelt law, you had to get pulled over by something else. About 5 years later, then it was click or ticket. You can't always trust what's being said in the beginning. Very often, information is misused or misunderstood. When we were told a system won't be used for this or won't be used for that, often that is exactly what it ends up being used for. Under the guise of safety, we are losing our liberties and our privacy. Please protect our privacy and our liberties.
Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners and Mayor. My name is Jillian Cadena, and I reside at 504 Hill Street. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, yep.
All right. Well, I hope that everyone in the community, as well as those on board tonight, are smart enough to realize how predatory the implementation of Flock security has already been. These devices have the opportunity to open a door that may not be allowed to be closed past a certain point. Bay City Bridge Partners has already breached the terms and agreement in our city's contract with them, so what makes us think that Flock can be trusted to be any different? They have been shown to leak information to federal departments and authorities in other states around the country as a means to amp up and fuel ICE detainment. They say they do not sell this information, yet these departments are still being found to be abusing this technology regardless. In the UK, people have such a loss of free speech to the point that authorities can obtain a warrant for their arrest on terrorism charges for speaking out against the mass murder and carpet bombing of Palestine. They will be at your door. You will be taken from your home. In a world where our country is also changing and defining what is considered hate speech, where and when certain people are considered worthy of rights or worthy of being human, how can anyone here expect Flock to not overstep? Flock gets payday when departments sell out our information, publicly accessible information or not. My question to everyone here is, do you feel safer with this? What motive does this ultimately serve? I fear the answer is far more sinister than any of us will ever imagine when Flock breaches contract, as it is bound to do. This is the easiest next step to running us like herd. Departments are being baited into taking these deals, and we already struggle to trust them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard Mastriani, 100 Englehart Drive, Bay City, Michigan. It's really distressful that we have to even come here to discuss this. We're giving up liberties for safety, and we know what Ben Franklin said about that. We're never going to get those liberties back for a little bit of safety. This takes me back to when I was a student in Ann Arbor, and similar situation. It kind of just flashed in my head when I heard what you guys were thinking about doing. Long time ago, obviously, because I'm old. They put out a dragnet for a crime that was committed in Ann Arbor. And all they had to go by was black male, 18 to 28. It took a while for people to wise up, and they started rounding up every black male, 18 to 28, before somebody spoke up and said, no. I just don't want to give up any more liberties. We've given up too many for a little bit of safety. Law enforcement can do this. We have, our community can do this. Don't start putting cameras in the street. It just isn't right. That's it.
Thank you.
My name is Amanda Fenner. I live at 100 Englehart Drive. And although I had gotten short notice to be here, I came and made this sign tonight just to come and stand and say, you know, first of all, laws, they can change. Anyone can change the law on what's legal, what's not. And anyone can change the definition of the words and the language in those laws. So you guys may have good intentions, and I believe that you guys do want to keep Bay City safe, but who's to say that the next elected officials aren't going to misuse or abuse that powers? Not to mention that this company is selling our data. It's Palantir. I mean, has anyone seen Lord of the Rings? The little thing that Sauron's looking into is called it's to see into all of our lives. It's just mirroring it. I mean, don't get me started on the Lord of the Rings, but basically, so, okay, and then say Palantir or Flock, they have good company leaders now. Say that they have good intentions now. But what's to say that the future leaders won't, or that they don't change or redefine their language as well? And it's going to cost a lot of money that could have been used for helping our homeless, which I follow you on Facebook, Chris, and that's a huge problem here. We have all the people under the bridge, and we could be putting money into them. We could be putting money into better education systems, more things for the youth to do, so many innumerable things, and even fun, awesome things. Instead, you guys are thinking about, surveilling everyone. What's the point? If we're going to give up our liberties, then what's the point to even live in Bay City? There's no privacy, no security in that either, because it's not infallible to hacking. That nothing that goes into a cloud can be unhackable. There's no way to safety net or safety proof that. And so I've got many reasons why this is just, it's not moral, it's not constitutional, it goes against due process. We are allowed, you guys, it's an obligation of our legal system to read us our Miranda rights, to give us due process. And if we're not given that up front and that transparency to our face, that's not freedom. That's not what our forefathers died for, or my grandparents who fought in wars for our freedoms and stuff. That's not what they believed this America would be. This is the America that's the land of the free, the home of the brave, where everyone has the equal opportunity to pursue the rights and to happiness. And everyone isn't gonna have that if there's cameras everywhere breathing down your neck, and say they just decide, oh, well, going and actually speaking in opposition is a huge, there's plenty of countries out there that are just taking down opposition. So our freedom here in America is the only thing that keeps us separate from the other countries. So I just will leave it at that, but due process, constitutional rights, down with big tech, you guys, and America. God bless you all.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Adam Reddick. I live at 1802 South Chilson. I stood before you in July of this year when this matter first appeared on the agenda to speak out against the flock surveillance system. And I stand before you as somebody who previously practiced law in this community for over a decade. And I went through some of my concerns in the flock contract on that evening. Since then, what we've seen is a city department post repeatedly on social media appealing to the citizens to lobby the commission on behalf of a private corporation headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, to spend $84,000 on this surveillance system. So now, here we are back in front of the commission with an updated contract, updated according to the contract on October 15th, 2025. And I want to make it clear to this commission that this contract is no better. And the gentleman can talk about for-cause breaches, but Flock doesn't have to breach the contract to be scary. And I just want to point out a few terms that I think the commission should be aware of, that if you vote for this, you're approving. The first one would be sections 4.3 and 1.2 talking about training data. The contract indicates Flock takes a, quote, small fraction, which is undefined. We don't know what a small fraction is, but they say they take a small fraction of every single photograph these cameras snap on our streets. Your car, my car, sometimes passengers' faces. They say they strip the metadata, and then we grant them a perpetual, irrevocable, worldwide license to keep those images forever to train their AI, forever. There's no deletion, there's no audit. The Bay City taxpayers pay $84,000 so that a private company can build its permanent surveillance training library with pictures of us and our vehicles. Second, section 4.4, data distribution. If Bay City ever shares their data with any other agency, state police, sheriff, another city, we automatically give Flock and that third party, so Flock and the third party, permanent right to keep, modify, reproduce, and redistribute our data forever, even after our 30-day retention period expires. And even after we cancel the contract, if canceled. Once it leaves our hands, it never comes back. And we can talk all day long about a 30-day retention period, but it's already been stated that it's our intent to share this data with other places. That means Flock has our data forever at that point. The third section would be section 5.3, disclosure of customer data. Flock can hand our data over to anyone, law enforcement, government officials, or private parties, anytime the company decides in its sole good faith belief that it's needed for an emergency, fraud, or dozens of other vague reasons. There's no warrant, no notice to us. A private corporation becomes the final judge of when Bay City residents lose their privacy. And fourth, section 10.2, ownership of hardware, in conjunction with section 1.10, Flock IP. We never own the cameras, we never own the raw footage, we never own the AI analytics. Everything is Flock's intellectual property. We are just renters, and very expensive ones at that. I urge you all to take a look at the citizens that you represent. The citizens have made their voices clear, and they've spoken here tonight. Your constituents do not want this in our city, and I urge you to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Katie Doyle. I am Bay City resident at 1719 11th Street.
Just make sure the mic is closer to you.
I'm sorry. It's hard to hear from here. Katie Doyle, 1719 11th Street, Bay City resident. A lot of people have spoken, and I'm not going to beat the same points to death over and over because I think it's been covered by now. I do have a different concern that I have not heard addressed by anybody at this point. Flock has largely separated themselves from responsibility by placing data sharing decisions in the hand of the individual municipalities. We've pretty much established that the city has control over who sees their data, who accesses, who we share it with. The presenter cited several instances where violations were found to be the fault of the operator and not the default settings of the product. Again, protecting themselves from liability, like they don't handle that, municipalities handle that. So my question, I guess, to all of you, and potentially, I'm assuming our police department, who is actually in charge of administration controls? Who has access to it? What are their credentials? How will the municipalities manage awarding and both terminating privileged access? I would consider something, again, we've beat this to death at this point. This is sensitive information that people are accessing. I would compare it to, say, a medical system in a hospital. Very specific people have access to those data records, and it is very well documented who accessed it and why, and they better have a good reason. So, and of course, when that person is no longer with the company, no longer with the hospital, their permissions are terminated. So, who's in charge? I guess is my big question that I think deserves maybe more discussion. And again, what are their qualifications? Are they proficient in this technology? Are they consistently doing the right thing? And what kind of safeguards are we going to have in place to make sure that we're not accidentally sharing with another municipality or accidentally saying, yep, you can have this information, no problem. good faith, but accidents happen. And we've now learned they're not going to be responsible because that's our responsibility. So that is all I have on that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Brian Kennedy. I live at 450 Old Orchard Drive, Apartment 9 in Essexville, but I work down here in downtown Bay City. And I rise to speak to you tonight to urge you to vote no on this agreement with Flock. Certainly, we've heard a lot from the citizens of Bay City today about the level of surveillance and the amount of unsettlingness that causes within our people. But the thing that frightens me, and the thing that I think should frighten you, is the database itself, because it's in that database that the true value of this data lies. Imagine what value a database containing every vehicle traveling through our city would offer. Imagine, for example, the value of knowing, even in just vague and general terms, where every trip started and stopped. How useful would that be for something like city planning? How much would someone be willing to pay for that? How can you be sure that a private corporation, one motivated to turn a profit, won't also see those dollar signs? And when Flock fails to protect our data, and history shows that it is a question of when, not if, when Flock fails to protect this data, what recourse does the average citizen have? When local law enforcement violates the rights of its citizens, we know what avenues of redress are available to us. We can protest. We can petition our commissioners. We can potentially elect different commissioners. We can seek changes to public policy. We can sue our local governments. But if a private corporation does that, what avenues are open to us? Would a citizen even have standing to sue? I caution you to be skeptical of the points presented by Flock tonight. What percentage of the crimes using Flock cameras, solved using Flock cameras, could have also been solved through more traditional policing? What percentage of queries to Flock systems produce no useful data for law enforcement, lead to no arrests, lead to the closing of no cases? And what did the people of Bay City sacrifice for that? In conclusion, Flock is here to sell you a service. Their job tonight is to convince you that the benefits of their system outweigh the costs. But I advise you to be mindful of the hidden costs, the costs they don't want you to pay attention to, how much we really give up, and what little we might really get in return. I urge you to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kyle Noel. I live at 305 South Sheridan, 48708. Today, you're looking at a contract, but I think we're looking at the wrong one. We understand government as a social contract. We end up trading a level of our freedom in exchange for a level of security. However, in order for that contract to exist, for it to thrive, we have to trust that security. If we didn't know it before the bridge issues, we definitely know now that we as Bay Cityans do not, by default, trust private, for-profit companies to do right by Bay City. They're going to do right for their profits. Through our social media accounts, it's pretty easy to see that our citizens, whether they be conservative or liberal, Democrat, Republican, or independent, do not trust it. It's pretty easy to tell from the showing that we have tonight that large portions of our Bay City public do not trust this. I understand the goals of these services, but if this many concerns exist, and if doing so erodes our public trust, then we are challenging the real contract that we should be caring about in Bay City. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Molly Fenner. I live at 100 Englehart Drive, Bay City, Michigan. So many of the points that I had are already covered today by other people, so I will keep this short and sweet. I just want to say that, to my understanding, Flock uses AI technology, and as we all know, it is an experimental and currently being developed technology. We do not have the full understanding, full grasp, or full preparedness to face the consequences or even the problems that may arise with using that technology. Using that it is at risk of human error, it sounds like it's in control of both Flock and up to the human and personable, like the city commission as well. That leads to two separate parties that are responsible for one very important item. That is all, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kevin Slatina. I reside at 2 9th Street. So I'm actually a little bit appalled today by the fact that this is even being talked about and by the fact that the commissioners did not bring up any major concerns for security. One of the biggest rise in security breaches now is actually AI. AI malware can break AES GCM 256 encryption in record time. Now, Flock says they store their data that they collect from us and the AWS cloud to the highest level of security standard. If that highest level of security standard is being cracked by AI with no problems, and that is not a concern to you, I advise you to reconsider. That'll only grow and grow as time moves on. There is nothing that Flock can guarantee in terms of protecting our data. And as a constituent and a citizen of Bay City, that's terrifying. And that should be terrifying to you commissioners and you, Mayor, as well. The fact that there is no guarantee for protection of that information is a serious concern. The other concern I have is it does sound like Flock is putting a lot of this back onto the city for them to decide who they share that information with. Who does that leave to be held accountable? That leaves you guys. That leaves the Public Safety Department. And I'm sure none of you want a bunch of your constituents knocking at your door at 4 o'clock in the morning mad because there is a data breach and their data is now out there. Although they make a good sales pitch and the presentation sure was pretty, I don't think it's worth selling our data, paying them to come in and capture that information. And if that doesn't concern you, I advise you to reconsider. Please vote no on this.
Thank you.
Jeff Reed, 409 Fillmore, Bay City, Michigan. I'm going to urge everyone here to vote no on this Flock issue. Bay City Bridge Partners is already keeping track of everybody who crosses 2 of our bridges in this city. And there's no due process there. You don't even have to cross that bridge. They send you a bill in the mail, they say you crossed the bridge, then you're guilty. I was here a couple weeks ago, and I spoke about the Bay City Bridge Partners because they're my favorite. Nobody's happy about this stuff. And I made a statement that they're going to be coming out real soon with a special deal for us because 2026 is coming up real quick. Right now there's 45 days left of this year before 2026. They just came out with a special little information for us that they're discontinuing the monthly plan and everybody's gonna, just pay the fee. They're $2 if you have a transponder. If you choose to enter into a contract with these thieves, I wouldn't recommend it. Bay City Bridge Partners are hurting for money right now, folks. You look at the traffic that's going over those bridges, those are people of privilege, which includes me, a Bay City resident. I don't like saying it, but it's a fact. I get to cross for free until 2028. I'm not blind to the fact that they're gunning not just for myself, but every single one of us. So they keep telling us, oh, come into the office. We're here to help. We're here to help. Come into the office. You go take a look in that building. There's one window open. People standing in line. I was recently there and helped a gentleman close his account. He was actually from Bangor Township. And I brought this with me because this is kind of neat. And we're all going to start closing our account with these clowns. But these are the transponders. So far, I collected 3. And I challenge everyone, let's see who can collect the most. Wouldn't that be fun? So they're trying to get people to get in there. Oh, come to our office. Boy, we got a deal for you now because if you don't get a transponder, it's going to cost you $5.50 to cross that bridge one way. Well, they're going to be sitting in that office for a long time by themselves. That's why they keep, come in and see us, come in and see us. Yeah, because they're bored, because nobody wants to talk to them. They're sitting there just waiting for somebody to come in and beg for mercy. Well, if you get a transponder, you get one of these, oh, we'll cut you a deal. They ain't cutting you no deal. I'm sure a lot of people are pissed off about this going away at the first of the year, this monthly subscription. I'm going to urge this city not to spend no more money on trying to cut a deal with these bridge pigs. We spent approximately $30,000 on attorney fees when they first brought this up to the first of the year, and everybody was up in arms. Now, I think that might have been a mistake. Let's just let them do whatever the hell they want, because we, the people of Bay City and the surrounding communities, that's exactly what we're doing. We're boycotting these bridge partners, and this boycott is going excellent. And you can see all the people that come here tonight that's not happy with this flock stuff, definitely vote no, because you will have a lot of pissed off Bay City residents. And as far as this Bay City Bridge Partners go, they're on their way out the door, because we are going to bankrupt the Bay City Bridge Partners. We're going to send them packing, and we're going to take control of these bridges again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. Just a little quick poll on the commissioners. Oh, we have one more. Oh yeah, don't forget your sign. Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to mention, you'll see the sign. I spruced it up a little bit with some LED
Time.
Okay, thank you. Do we want to take a quick recess? Do anybody have to, or do we want to keep moving forward? Okay, so we're going to 5-minute recess. We'll come back at 8:20. It's now 8:20, and we have one commissioner waiting on. Oh, there he is. All right, so we're back in the regular session. Next order of business is remarks to the mayor and the commission. Do any commissioners have remarks to make? Commissioner DeWitt?
I have two that are things that have not been talked about today because we're looking for other things right now. First is holiday decoration and lights. I'm calling on my commissioners to take a look around their wards, start looking to see what's going up, what's available, and keep a list, get ready for selecting winners for this year. I saw that we put out, as a city, the right-of-way notice, just so people understand the rules and everything, because we apparently there was a lack of knowledge beforehand to cause the issue that we had around Halloween. So take a look, be ready, and hopefully get you some ideas, because almost everyone here has not done it before, just to make sure that everyone's ready for the process for that. Second thing is a reminder to everyone listening that next Monday the 24th, I want to make sure I have that right, at 5 p.m. is our interviews for Third Ward. So we'll be doing our interviews at that point for appointment at the next meeting. Those are the things I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Coakley.
Yeah, just a couple things. The resolution we have about suspending the late fees until SNAP program is back fully reinstated. I believe that's fully reinstated now. So that would probably make this one null and void at the end. And secondly, we did have an infrastructure meeting today, and fire stations 2, 4, 5 were all discussed. Possible what to do, funding, and everything else, and the city manager is going to get some information back to us on the costs. Then we can, as a commission, can look at it once we have a direction that we think we can go in.
All set, Commissioner? All right, thank you. Any other commissioners? Yep, Commissioner Schalaba.
Are there prizes for the Christmas?
So I'll talk about that. Yeah, yep. Okay, so yes, so this I've done this for this is maybe 10th year. So basically, each commissioner's it's up to you to in responsibility to get the prizes. So the city does not provide them. So you can ask a business or you could donate it yourself. It's up to you. So don't be caught off guard with that. But usually businesses in your district are pretty generous, and you give them the recognition, and so you could do that. Or you can. I've done it in the past. I've gone and bought electric gift certificates. People are very appreciative of that for utilities. But so it's up to you. You can choose. I've done it where I've actually. There were some really good folks that put up lighting, and so I chose a couple. But usually it's one residential winner and one business winner if you want. Some people have some commissioners have done different things, so it's entirely up to you. And then I make sure you get it to me so I can go out enough time, because we want to give enough notice to residents so that if you did select them as winners, we give them notice to come in, and it's really fun. I really enjoy it. It's probably one of the best meetings we have all year. We get to celebrate with residents on the lights that they put up and display. But
Commissioner Coakley, just real quick, what's the timelines?
Yeah, so
we're going to send out the flyers tomorrow to all of you, and then we'll get it out on social media. But we have commissioners giving, you can give the manager's office or send it directly to the mayor, so we can make a list for him. We want it to him by the 11th or the 12th of December, because that weekend he's going to go out and pick the grand prize. So the weekend of the 12th, 13th, and 14th. So if you want your wards into his decision, we have to have him by that date.
Yes, please. That'd be helpful. I'll probably snag as many grandkids as I can to go out and help select. And then if anybody wants to help or reach out to me, that last year we had a resident. I went out. I take a lot of pictures of lights and put them on a Google map. It was kind of fun. People can go around the community and take a look. And then I'm just going to talk about my comments real quick, and then I'll get to the rest of the commission. But Santa Claus is coming to town soon, right? We got Thanksgiving next Thursday, next Friday evening. I think do we start at 6? The downtown look for that. But I believe it's 6 o'clock and Santa comes in. We light the tree. If you haven't seen that tradition, it's a lot of fun. I think I'm going to be reading some book. So done it once before. It's fun time. So mark your calendars for that. So Commissioner Cubitt.
I just wanted to make sure there was a way that neighbors could nominate their neighbors or even themselves, like through whatever the flyer is that's going out. Like if there's like a social media posting and people can tag pictures or.
Usually if they're in your ward, they'll contact you directly.
Yeah, so get the word out there. Yeah, usually I just drive around the whole neighborhood and then I make I've shared them online and people are appreciative to kind of see what's out there, and I share some addresses. But it's entirely up to you. You make it what you want to make it for your ward. And anything I can do to be helpful, I guess it's my thing now. Yes, Commissioner Tenney.
Thank you to the chair. Just very briefly and very broadly touch on the fact that the last time I checked, we live in a representative democracy, okay? We reaffirmed a couple months back that we serve our neighbors. And if you ask any of the colleagues to my left, right, or around me why we're here, I would bet dollars to donuts that every one of us would mention the people we serve, okay? And we're also supposed to be nonpartisan members of this board. So when we see issues that unite the right and left sides of the aisle, when we hear outcries from the people we serve, we ought to listen to them. We ought to be about people over product, or profit, rather. Take your pick, I suppose. And we ought to listen to the youth as well. We keep talking about we want youth to move to Bay City. So when we hear outcry from younger folks and we hear their needs, wishes, desires, and rights, we ought to heed them. And that goes for everybody, because I believe in all power to all the people. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else have a comment? Okay, manager, you have some comments.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the Marquette Tifa. We had our infrastructure meeting today for public safety, and I reported to them. So we put a question out to the attorney asking if it was legal to use TIF funds for infrastructure for the fire department. The answer did come back, yes, but he also set forward like a plan on how to do it. So the CDCs were asking for $386,318. All the other funds that are in the TIFA right now are programmed, but there is room for this. So in January is when the CDCs are going to meet, and that's when they can make their formal amendment. It's going to take some months because we have to draft the amended plan. We have to approve the draft amended by the coordinating council. Then we have to hold a public hearing. And that means we have to send 700 taxpayers a letter. Each taxing jurisdiction also has to be mailed out by certified mail and a public hearing planned. And then we have to publish it as a public hearing notice in the newspaper twice. So that process is going to take about $1,800 just to do that. And then we will write a resolution to adopt the amendment at city commission level, and then we have to do a 60-day waiting period after that as well for anybody that's going to contest that use of those TIFA funds. So we're looking at May if we keep on schedule. So just an FYI for all of you that that's where it sits.
Did you say 1,800 hours or $1,800? I didn't catch that.
Dollars.
Well, I didn't. It wasn't 800.
1,800.
I don't remember using 800. It was 1,800.
Yeah, 1,800.
Yeah, 1,008.
All set. Okay, next order of business calls for a public hearing. This is the opportunity for citizens to address the commission regarding public hearings 1 through 3. 1 is application for Carline Diversified Industries LLC for the creation of an obsolete property rehabilitation district located at 900 6th Street. 2 is application from Carline Diversified Industries LLC for a 12-year obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate located at 900 6th Street in the amount of $105,682. And number 3 is the ordinance amendment to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 1, General Section 21A, City Services Fees, deleting trash bags. So is there, under the rules of the City Commission, each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes to speak. Commissioner Coakley will serve as a timekeeper. Is there a motion allowed for public hearing? Commissioner DeWitt.
Move to allow for public hearing on items 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Tenney.
Second.
Thank you. So if anyone wishes to address the commission regarding public hearing item number 1, please come forward, sign the registration sheet, and state your name and address for the record. Seeing no one come forward for one, item 2. Anybody like to come forward to speak on item 2? All right, last item, item number 3. Anybody like to come forward to speak on item number 3? All right, seeing no one, next order of business calls for special orders. Will the clerk read the next item on the agenda?
Special order number 1, Commission as a whole resolution regarding application from Carline Diversified Industries LLC for the creation of an obsolete property rehabilitation district located at 900 6th Street. Recommendation approve.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Tenney.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Zanotti. Commissioner Zanotti, you have a second. Oh, okay, we didn't hear you speak. Make sure you're speaking to the mic.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Okay, Commissioner Coakley.
That's the old church over there on 6th Street, correct? And they're,
Sorry, yes.
And they want to make it a microbrewery. Are they okay with all the permits and stuff to make that happen?
They are. They're going to have to fill out their permits, but they're well aware of it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Commissioner Tenney.
Yes.
Zanotti.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Rumberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Cubitt.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
8 yes.
All right, motion's been adopted. Will the clerk please read the next item on the agenda?
Special order 2, Commission as a whole resolution regarding application from Carline Diversified Industries LLC for a 12-year obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate located at 900 6th Street in the amount of $105,682. Recommendation approved.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Tenney.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Runberg.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Commissioner Zanotti.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Rumberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Cubitt.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
8 yes.
Our motion's been approved. Will the clerk please read the next item on the agenda?
Special order 3, City Manager recommending ordinance amendment to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 1, General, Section 2.1A, City Services, Fees, deleting trash bags. Recommendation approve.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Runberg.
Move to approve item number 3, the public hearing.
All right, is there a second? Commissioner DeWitt?
Second.
Discussion? All right, will the clerk please call the roll on motion to adopt?
Commissioner DeWitt.
Yes.
Rumberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Cubitt.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
Zanotti.
Yes.
8 yes.
Motion's been approved. All right, moving on. Will the clerk please read the next items on the regular agenda?
Reports of Officers 5, City Manager recommending agreement with Flock Group, Inc., Atlanta, Georgia, for the implementation of multiple license plate readers throughout the city of Bay City in the amount of $45,150 for fiscal year 26 and $39,000 for fiscal year 27. Recommendation approved.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Morris.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Zanotti?
Motion to support that.
A second? Okay. So is there a discussion? Commissioner Runberg.
Yeah, a lot's already been said on this, so I'll keep mine brief. Aside from all my civil rights and liberties concerns, aside from all of the issues that were raised today, I think with the showing of the public in this meeting chamber and the more than a dozen emails and calls that I've received since Friday alone, I think that the community's pretty well resoundingly stated their position on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Morris.
I'd like to pull up Director Rao and ask Director Rao some questions on this.
Sure, we'll go ahead to the city manager. Yep.
Director Rao, are you in support of the flock cameras? Would you like to have the flock cameras here in Bay City?
Yes.
Given the fact that there's been the public input and how many have been against it publicly here, why do you believe that we should still utilize flock cameras? I just want your opinion.
Yeah, I understand the public input and I understand the reservations. I have also been to CDC meetings, Columbus Management Board, DDA, Chamber of Commerce breakfast, a lot of different places where I've presented on flock cameras. And when I've gone to those presentations and meetings where I can give people the actual information rather than some of the misinformation that's been shared, the vast majority of those people were in support of it. So I don't think this is, necessarily representative. I'm not gonna, I don't know where it stands. We haven't done a poll citywide. A lot of people that don't use social media. There's a lot of people that don't come to commission meetings, obviously. The city of 30-some thousand, and we had, a handful here tonight. I know the technology works, and I know it's been great for other law enforcement agencies. My job is public safety. And this definitely would have an impact, so that's why I'm in favor of it. And I have the privilege of knowing, I guess, my character. I know the people that work for me. I am very confident that we could use this system without it being abused. It's completely up to us who we share the data with. If you notice in our policy that we put out there, it says they have to have an MOU or a letter of understanding with us. So it's not a nationwide sharing. It's in order to share our data, you have to agree to follow our rules. And just like they said, we would not allow searches based on immigration. We would not allow searches based on reproductive rights, things of that nature. I think it's a great system from all the other law enforcement agencies around. Many have said it's the best tool they've ever seen or been able to use to solve crime, which is what we're here for.
Thank you, and I have one more question. When it comes to administrators, just for checks and balances, is that in-house? Would you have administrators in-house? Or would that be someone from Flock would assist with that? Do you know?
We have our policy that we shared, I want to say we did quarterly audits, is what we went with. Obviously that's changeable, but we have our own professional standards division that audits other things that we have access to, such as the Law Enforcement Information Network, LEAN, NCIC, which is way more data, way more information of a privileged nature, criminal records and things of that sort that he also audits. There's not many agencies that audit more than we do, and thankfully we really don't find much. Rarely do we find a violation, and if we do, generally it's an honest mistake.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Commissioner DeWitt.
I didn't have any questions for the chief.
Oh, okay, I thought I saw your hand. Anybody else? Do you have any other discussion, though? Oh, Commissioner Tenney.
Thank you to the chair. Thanks for the director for stepping up. I feel as if you can support law enforcement / public safety and still say no to something, right? I think a number of us have shown you all support, whether it be advocating for fire stations, attending the Public Safety Academy, going on ride-alongs, et cetera, right? So my question to you, sir, is can you accept no for an answer from us as representatives of the community that live in the community we serve and not claim anti-law enforcement sentiments?
Absolutely.
Okay, I genuinely want to make sure that you're feeling okay, even accepting no, because I know this is something you've been vying for really hard,
Right.
as evidenced by your social media account.
I know people have questioned like why I'm pushing so hard for it, because my job is public safety. That's what I'm trying to do better as best we can. Even if crime rate has gone down, like 0 is still better than 1, That's my goal. Can I take no for an answer? I've taken no lots of times. I mean,
Fair enough. Maybe not since, my short tenure here, but I just wanted to bounce that off you. I appreciate your candor a lot.
So I do have a question. What area would you see the biggest improvement or opportunity as far as crime statistics that would be addressed with the?
most places, the biggest success has been stolen vehicles. I see that as definitely one of the successes of it. To me, the biggest incident that I'm trying to address with this are the random shooting at houses in the middle of the night. It has happened over the past 5 years more than in the first 20 years of my career, and most of the time you get a vague vehicle description and that's about it. Well, right now we can't do a whole lot with a vague vehicle description. We talk to everybody in the neighborhood, try to get a Ring camera picture of it if we can. With technology like this, there's not a whole lot of cars out at 2, 3 in the morning. When something like this happens and you get a vague description, you actually have a pretty good lead to go with when you have this type of technology.
Okay.
That's what I'm hoping to impact with it.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, will the clerk please call, is there, Commissioner Zanatti.
Yeah, just a couple of comments if I can. I think first of all, I really respect all the comments tonight and my fellow commissioners. A couple of us have exchanged phone calls, and I can really understand the concern. Then I try to get into a little bit deeper, okay? Times are changing, okay? Bay City isn't what it was like 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. The bad element moves around a lot more than it used to be, okay? Where I grew up, it was a rough neighborhood when I was growing up. Once I got married, the neighborhood was a lot more local. We have Saginaw. I was reading last week that 1,800 police calls in Bangor Township last month, okay? Bangor isn't that big. The issues we have from our city and the crime they have in the south. I look at these cameras as a tool for the police department that will keep more police officers on the streets, okay? Versus doing stuff the old-fashioned way to see where vehicles might be. I look at it that's a big improvement. We all know that I think as within the last year or two, I think a lot of you guys here as a commission, worked hard to put a few more officers on the street. And you guys know how hard that was to come up with the dollars to do that. And probably be many years before we can do it again. From that book George gave me that I'm looking at, which might take me another year or two to figure that out. But I think, and the other thing is, you look at all the technology that the bad guys are using, you look at all the technology that we have everywhere you go. I mean, you go to an airport, you go to a Tiger game. I mean, this ship has already sailed on our privacy, okay? Now, this is a little part of privacy that, you know, we're putting the chief and the city manager, you know, we're saying, you guys are supporting this, you guys want this. Then you're taking all the responsibility for your employees to do the right things with it, okay? A lot of the calls I got from opposition talked about liability. Liability is always going to be there. You know, we put guns on his officer's side. We put body cams. When I was looking up all the stuff you guys already looked up, there's been lawsuits with body cams. The present system, okay? There was a big settlement on that one. So liability's there, and that's why we have personnel departments and procedures. You know, it's our staff's job to do all the proper training, so we try to not have that liability. I got one question for me. Can these make this city a little safer? I think I told this to Benjamin. Last meeting, on my way home, I was Washington to Columbus, Madison, I believe. Yeah, Madison. I'm holding it. Oh, I thought you were pointing at the button. Okay. 3 guys come out by rallies there, walk around my car, okay? You know, they're just punks, okay? I mean, they weren't that smart. I got 6 cylinders, 280 horse, and a horn. I don't know what they think they're going to do. But the whole point is, it didn't intimidate me, okay? I just kept my patience. But if that happens to my wife, or if that happens to a senior citizen, that's going to be traumatic for people, okay? And that's the stuff we have to keep clean and keep safe and keep the police on. So I'm going to support this, guys, but that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner DeWitt.
Yeah, I didn't have any question for the chief, but I wanted to have comments otherwise. I just want to note that this is the first topic here that I've been seated that has been vehemently and bipartisanly hated in discourse, whether it be from the left or the right, and that was already mentioned once. The last time it was like this was the Bridge Partners vote, and they have refused to come to meetings and have made people who I talk to frustrated at best. The other one was for the Winona Park Pavilion project, where the person who spearheaded that is currently awaiting their sentence for admitting to wire fraud. And when you go into the big power meetings like the chamber and the citizen groups, which those aren't really as big anymore, and that's a different problem. You have them show up to the meeting for the pavilion, and one of them from a different jurisdiction said, "I hope you listen to the smartest people in the room and not the majority." And then the person who spearheaded the project is sitting in federal jail for wire fraud. We have a responsibility to our constituents who already do not trust this city to do what they want at the best options we have. This technology may help public safety, but we need to have a way that the citizens can have buy-in. Because I am not going to support a project where out of the 24 people who talk at a city meeting and the others who contact me, I had 1 person who said anything positive. That doesn't happen in America. Like, you look at, everyone's like, oh, they're taking that side, I'm taking the other side. You don't see that for any subject, and yet here we are with, I have 1 tacit support and a whole bunch of no. This technology needs buy-in from the community before we enact it. I will be voting no, and with that, I am calling the question.
All right. Is there any objection to calling question? All right. So will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to adopt?
Commissioner Rumberg.
No.
Charlebois.
No.
Morris.
Yes.
Cubit.
No.
Coakley.
No.
Tenney.
No.
Zanatti.
Yes.
And DeWitt.
No.
6 yes, 2 no. Or sorry, 2 yes, 6 no.
Motion fails. All right. Will the clerk please read the next item of business? And we're not going to do the last one. Oh, yeah, we do.
Commissioner DeWitt's resolution that he added earlier.
So would you read that again for the record?
All right, so you need me to read it again, correct?
She's got it down, but we have it. The commission, do the commissioners want it read again, or you have it in front of you, so.
Motion to approve.
All right, is there a motion? Is there a second? Commissioner Rundberg?
Second.
Discussion. So city manager had a couple comments.
Please.
So I just want to give you a little bit of background on this camera fund. So the past administrator before me in this seat, he had an idea about adding cameras to the city, obviously for crime and other things in our parks, and so he had set that all aside to do that. So we have about $137,000 left in that fund. So we've been using it every single year for cameras in additional parks and what have you. So we already have of that money. We had this allocated for Flock, which will go back in there. And then we had $3,400 in this budget for Station 1 to have a video camera. And then $5,000 for Winona Park camera. And we've been recently talking about adding a camera at the marina because there is not a camera at the marina. And we had an incident there. And it's a really important place to have a camera because there's a lot that goes on that riverfront. So there are funds, 2 of them that are already promised to departments and was in the budget.
So I'm willing to compromise on that, but the number on the budget given to us and the discussion that was had back during budget process was that those funds were for the security cameras, and the number for the amount almost nearly matched this amount. The amount that was actually left in that fund was not in the budget book page that I looked at, so I did not have that information. I am willing to change this to just the flat cost and have the other promised cameras for the city assets okayed, but just the amounts for this.
So you're just talking about changing it to the $44,997?
Correct. The other stuff that was promised that in the budget sheet, I don't see that. So all I saw was the number that was close to our cost
And
here.
so what fund do you want that put into?
This is why I want it to be brought back as a budget amendment for the next meeting.
Yeah,
to go
for
into
what
the correct, toward things that can move to other funds toward fire. Let me find my actual line here. Fire personnel specific purposes, so like equipment for the fire department, and then the ones that can't be moved out of direct policing and public safety toward other assets that they can use those funds for, because we don't want to return the grant, we want to use the grant, but I want to make sure that we're in compliance for that.
So we're just looking at $44,997,000 to move into the fire budget, is what you're saying?
Less the JAG, because I don't think JAG
right,
will go for that.
they can use that for other items, yes. Okay.
Is everybody clear, Commissioner? Okay, so I don't know. Can we refer this? I mean, is there a priority of it happening right now, or?
So my reason for writing this is that so we can approve it at the next meeting, and we could like that just so I could see where it goes. So it's not actually it's not the action. This is
because nothing's actually going to happen.
No, this is just creating it so we can get a result. So we can discuss this otherwise, but this is what I had just to start the process so we can have a budget amendment for us to pass or alter as necessary.
All right. Commissioner Cubitt had a question.
I'm sorry, I just didn't follow it all quickly enough. Like I heard a need for the camera in the marina, and then I got confused about if the marina camera can happen with the other money that's not the $44,000. Okay, and I'm fully support trying to quickly get the money being useful and not trying to tie that up. But if there is a concern about we need to spend some more time and that this resolution doesn't do it, I'd very much want to hear that from the city manager.
I mean, we can do it. I'm just stating that the original camera fund was set up to purchase cameras throughout the city for the various departments. That was the intention. That was what it was intended for all the departments. I mean, we can move $44,000 into the fire department budget.
So if I'm hearing you that like all of there's enough need for cameras. Okay, I hear you.
There is a need for cameras in the city, yes, definitely. In the parks, like I said, in the marina, on the Riverwalk, yes.
But those are internal cameras. They're not the traffic cameras. They're internal cameras for our people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a difference in that too.
All right. Commissioner Coakley?
I'd like a little more time on this too. I mean, I know we're moving from one to another. The money's already there, right?
Yes.
And it's, and I know the parks, they get vandalized and stuff like that. I wouldn't mind having something in them. And if it's already set for that, you know, I think it's a good thing to continue on with just for things like that. I mean, we have a lot of parks and a lot of things going on there.
Yeah, some of the parks already have them, but there's some empty spaces throughout the city in parks.
I know our neighbors to the east have a live stream at one of their marinas going on that I had heard has 500,000 viewers, that people just go on and watch, and it promotes that part of the city too, and it's just a lot of avenues to look at too. So I don't know. I mean, I know the intent is good here, but would like some time on it.
All right. Any other comments? Okay, so there's, we got a motion, we have a second. Okay, so seeing no other objections, I guess we'll, yep, Commissioner Rundberg.
I move that we refer this to staff just so we can get some hard numbers and make sure we all have time to digest this.
Is there any objection? Is there a second to refer to staff? Commissioner Coakley?
Second.
All right, is there any objection to refer to staff? So no objection, they'll be moved back to staff, and there's no other business, so we are adjourned.